Imagine wearing a computer so small it disappears on the surface of your eye, yet still reads your body, tracks your gaze, and one day may place information directly into your field of view. That sounds like science fiction, but the truth is stranger and far more important, because the first killer app may not be social media or gaming, but medicine. The race to build smart contact lenses is really a race to solve one brutal engineering puzzle. How do you place sensors, antennas, circuits, and sometimes displays onto something softer than tissue paper that must sit safely on the human eye? And the answer, at least for now, is not one lens but several competing visions. From glaucoma monitoring to tear glucose sensing to eye-controlled interfaces and augmented reality prototypes. But before this tiny device can change the future, it has to survive tears, blinking, heat, power limits, wireless interference, and the simple fact that people will not tolerate discomfort on their eyes for very long. So the real story of smart contact lenses is not magic, but miniaturization pushed to the edge of biology. Eyes are one of the few places in the body where health signals can be observed continuously without breaking the skin. Tears contain chemical information, and the shape of the eye can also reveal pressure changes linked to disease. That makes the contact lens an almost perfect hiding place for sensors, because it already sits exactly where those signals appear. For glaucoma patients, this matters because eye pressure is not a single number frozen in a clinic, but a moving pattern that can change through the day and night. For people living with diabetes, the dream is even bigger, because a lens could one day track glucose through tears without repeated finger pricks. And for the computing industry, the eye is the ultimate interface, because where you look often reveals exactly what you want. One device sitting invisibly on the eye could become a health monitor, an input system, a therapeutic platform, and eventually a display. That is why researchers keep returning to this idea even after years of setbacks. The modern smart contact lens story began as several industries collided, including ophthalmology, wireless power, nanomaterials, augmented. Early excitement exploded when big technology companies and ambitious startups suggested that the humble contact lens could become the next personal computer. One of the most famous efforts came from Mojo Vision, which built an augmented reality contact lens prototype and publicly demonstrated a feature-complete version in 2022. But early 2023 revealed the brutal economics behind futuristic hardware, when the company announced a new direction and shifted away from continuing the lens program as its main path. That moment was a warning to the entire field, because proving a prototype is hard, but building is manufacturable found the product harder. Yet the dream did not die, because medicine kept offering a more immediate reason to continue. In healthcare, a smart lens does not need to entertain millions of consumers on day one. It only needs to solve one painful clinical problem better than today's tools. At the heart of a smart contact lens is a soft, transparent substrate, usually hydrogel-based, that must remain breathable, biocompatible, and stable under constant blinking. Onto that soft base, engineers add ultra-thin conductors, miniaturized sensors, and sometimes tiny coils or resonators that can communicate wirelessly. Some designs read chemistry in tears, while others measure mechanical deformation of the eye to infer changes related to intraocular pressure. In recent eye tracking research, teams have shown chip-free and battery-free contact lens systems that detect eye movement using passive resonant structures and frequency encoding. That matters because batteries are one of the biggest enemies of contact lens computing, adding bulk, heat, risk, and manufacturing complexity. So many smart lens designs chase a different goal: get power wirelessly. compute almost nothing on the lens itself, and send signals outward as efficiently as possible. The trick is that everything has to remain transparent enough not to block vision, flexible enough not to scratch the eye, and robust enough to survive repeated wear. In other words, engineers are trying to hide a laboratory inside a disposable medical film. The most real smart contact lens use case today is not augmented reality, but ophthalmic monitoring. SENSIMED Triggerfish is a commercial example. A E-marked and FDA-permitted system designed to monitor ocular volume changes over 24 hours using our smart contact lens platform. It does not simply replace every standard pressure test, but it offers clinicians something traditional snapshots often miss: a continuous pattern across the entire day and night. That pattern can matter because glaucoma damage is shaped not just by how high pressure gets, but by when it changes and how long those changes persist. Recent reviews describe smart contact lenses as one of the most promising paths toward continuous ocular monitoring. Even while acknowledging patient comfort and interpretation challenges, this is the pattern you see again and again in breakthrough hardware, where the first viable market is usually narrower, more clinical, and less glamorous than the original dream. If there is one smart contact lens idea that captured the public imagination, it is glucose sensing through tears. For years, critics argued that tear glucose was too noisy, too delayed, or too weakly correlated with blood glucose to be truly useful. But in 2024, researchers reported an important step forward in Nature Communications, showing a wireless smart contact lens capable of quantitative monitoring of tear glucose with sub-minute data collection and analysis of personalized lag time. That phrase, personalized lag time, is more important than it sounds, because it admits a biological reality engineers cannot ignore. Your tears are not your blood, and the relationship shifts over time. In other words, the smartest lens may not be the one that chases a perfect universal number, but the one that learns the timing and chemistry of each individual wearer. That shift from one-size-fits-all sensing to personalized interpretation could be the difference between a flashy demo and a clinically useful tool, and it reveals a deeper truth about smart contact lenses, because the breakthrough is not only the hardware on the eye, but the model that makes sense of the signal coming off it. Health monitoring may arrive first, but the most mind-bending future of contact lenses still involves human-machine interaction. In 2024, researchers described a miniature, biocompatible, chip-free, battery-free contact lens for in-situ eye tracking and wireless eye-machine interaction. That means the lens itself can become a silent controller, translating glances, blinks, and closures into commands without cameras mounted on glasses or screens. If that sounds small, remember that every major computing era changed when the interface became more natural. From keyboards to touchscreens to voice. Eye-controlled contact lenses would go one step further by turning intention itself into input. And that is where the dream of augmented reality returns. Because once you can track gaze and deliver power efficiently, the missing piece is display. Mojo Vision proved that a highly ambitious AR contact lens prototype could be built. But the business pivot also showed just how unforgiving the path to commercialization remains. So, as of 2026, the invisible screen on your eye is still more prototype than product. Then the story gets even stranger, because some smart lenses are being designed not just to sense disease, but to respond to it. Researchers have reported wireless theranostic lens systems that combine monitoring with treatment concepts for pressure-related eye disease. In simple terms, the lens watches the eye, interprets the state, and could eventually help deliver a controlled intervention. That might mean controlled drug release, optical stimulation, or other targeted responses that happen exactly where the disease process is unfolding. This is a radical idea because ordinary eye drops are surprisingly inefficient, with much of the medication never staying where doctors want it. A therapeutic contact lens could turn the eye into a site of local, sustained, programmable treatment rather than repeated guesswork. And that could matter far beyond convenience, because better adherence and more precise dosing can directly affect whether vision is preserved or lost. But every promise of smart contact lenses runs into the same brutal reality, because the eye is not a forgiving place for experimental electronics. Comfort is non-negotiable, and even clinically approved systems come with risks and tolerability issues that must be managed carefully. The lens must also survive oxygen demands, tear chemistry, protein deposits, mechanical stress, and exact positioning on a constantly moving eye. Then comes power, because a display lens wants energy, wireless links want energy, processing wants energy, and the eye does not want heat. Manufacturing is another hidden cliff, since building one brilliant prototype is not the same as mass-producing sterile, reliable, low-cost lenses at scale. And even if all of that works, regulators still need convincing that the device is safe enough for one of the most delicate tissues in the body. This is why smart contact lenses progress in bursts of astonishing headlines followed by long stretches of quiet engineering. There is also a deeper question buried inside this technology, and it has nothing to do with materials science. If a contact lens can infer health status, monitor behavior, and track where you look, then it is not just a wearable, but a sensor pointed outward and inward at the same time. A future eye interface would generate some of the most intimate data imaginable, because gaze can reveal interest, distraction, fear, desire, and intent before words do. Medical versions of these lenses may be easier to justify because the benefits are clearer and the context is controlled. Consumer versions would raise harder questions, including who stores the data, who interprets it, who profits from it, and who gets locked out if they refuse. The most invisible computer ever imagined could also become the most intimate. Smart contact lenses matter because they sit at the intersection of two massive global pressures: chronic disease and the hunger for more natural computing. Glaucoma, diabetes, aging populations, and overloaded healthcare systems all reward technologies that monitor continuously rather than occasionally. At the same time, the tech industry keeps searching for the next interface after phones and glasses, something lighter, faster, and less visible. Smart contact lenses are one of the very few ideas that plausibly speak to both needs at once. That is why even after pivots, delays, and skepticism, the field keeps moving. The pace may feel slow, but when technology reaches the eye, slow is often exactly what trust requires. So where are we really in 2026? We are past the point where smart contact lenses are fantasy, because working medical systems exist and serious peer-reviewed prototypes keep arriving. But we are not yet at the point where most people can buy an augmented reality lens, wear it all day, and trust it as casually as ordinary contacts. The first chapter belongs to medicine, not entertainment. The second chapter may belong to personalized sensing, where your lens does not just measure biology, but learns your biology. And the third chapter, if engineers ever solve power, comfort, display, cost, and trust all at once, could make screens start to disappear from the world around us. Which means the future of computing may not sit in your hand, on your desk, or even on your face. It may begin with a lens so small you forget it is there, right, until it changes what seeing means.